The River Tweed, a renowned UK salmon fishing river, flows eastwards from the Scottish Lowther Hills to enter the North Sea at the English town of Berwick-upon-Tweed. Between Coldstream and Paxton, just to the west of Berwick-upon-Tweed, the course of the river forms the border between Scotland and England. There are two major road crossings of this lower section of the River Tweed, the A697 at Coldstream and the A1 at Berwick-upon-Tweed. There are two minor crossings at Norham and near Horncliffe. The latter is the Union Chain Bridge. Prior to the construction of the chain bridge, crossing the river was either across a tide-dependent ford in the vicinity of the bridge, or involved a long detour via Berwick or Coldstream. However, as the Industrial Revolution progressed, the need for transporting mined, farmed and manufacturing goods, for example woven cloth, across the river was growing. The Berwick and North Durham Turnpike Trust issued a specification for a bridge to replace the ford, and Captain Samuel Brown, ex-Royal Navy, designed the bridge. Having realised that hemp ropes were prone to failing, his 449-foot or 137-metre suspension bridge design incorporated wrought iron chains from which to suspend the bridge deck. The bridge proposal gained consent in July 1819. Construction began the following month, and the bridge was opened on the 26th of July 1820. If only such projects could be progressed as quickly today. With its opening, it became the first vehicular suspension bridge in the UK and remains the oldest suspension bridge carrying road traffic in the world. The unique feature of this bridge is the chain system from which its deck is suspended. The chain does not contain links of equal sizes, such as seen in bicycle chains and anchor chains. Rather, it is formed by linking longer rods with eyelets at each end using short links. But like a bicycle chain, there are two sides to the chain and the pivots are in the shorter links, which also act as the hanger from which the bridge deck is suspended. With an ingenious use of a shaped deck hanger pole and a metal shim, the weight of the deck and any traffic will only tighten the joint. On each side of the bridge, there are three chains from which the deck is suspended. These are anchored into the cliff on the English end of the bridge, whilst a ground anchor is utilised on the Scottish end. To spread the bridge loading, adjacent deck hangers rotate amongst the chains, and the hangers are attached to metal rails that run the length of the bridge. These in turn support the wooden cross members on which the deck is secured. The decking is finished with a waterproof surface into which drainage channels are set. Changing temperatures affect the metal within the bridge, and this is catered for by a fixed expansion joint at the Scottish end and by a pivoting plate at the English end. As you can see as we walk along the bridge, the lane for traffic is narrow to restrict the traffic to cars and light vans, as there is a weight limit of 3 tons on the bridge. Bollards are also placed strategically to restrict the width of vehicles and can prove to be a tight squeeze for modern cars. The original bridge had the Latin phrase vis unita fortior placed high on the rock face and the archway to commemorate the joining of Scotland and England by the bridge. However, this has now been inscribed on the bridge walkways along with its English translation. However, I have been describing the bridge as it is in July 2023. As I mentioned earlier, the bridge was opened on the 26th of July 1820. It operated as a toll bridge until 1883 with 2 toll booths. On the English side, the tollkeeper lived in a house built into the cliffside. On the Scottish side, the toll house was situated in the small cottage, now called Scotland House, just off the bridge approach. My understanding is that the toll was paid at whichever side you approached the bridge. Throughout its life, the bridge was upgraded in 1902 by the installation of deck crossbar supports due to the increased frequency and weight of traffic. In addition, a weight restriction was imposed and a wire rope cable with additional deck hanger poles was implemented. Subsequently, calculations determined that the latter was redundant as it did not contribute to the bridge strength, so it was removed. The timber deck was replaced in 1871, 1902, 1933 and 1973. Following steelwork and chain refurbishments completed in 1981, it was expected that these repairs would last for 50 years. However, following several deck hanger pole failures since 2006, a refurbishment plan was formulated and designed to be progressed for the bicentennial of the bridge in 2020. I was fortunate enough to ride across the bridge 3 days before it was closed for refurbishment on the 1st of October 2020. As you can see, the deck has worn badly and was quite rough. If you look carefully, you might see the chains could do with a bit of rust removal and a lick of paint. Although due to be closed for 57 weeks, the refurbishment work was delayed somewhat by COVID restrictions. The first task was to number and location map each item of the bridge, such that those that could be reused after refurbishment were replaced in their original locations. However, as dismantling took place, the discovery of hidden deterioration, for example in the small links, further delayed the project as new parts had to be fabricated. The Union Chain Bridge restoration project was funded by a £3.14 million grant from the National Lottery Heritage Fund. However, additional support came from numerous other parties. Spencer Group were chosen as the main contractor. The project essentially consisted of, firstly, removing the decking, hanger rods and chains, refurbishing as many of these back to their original strength and replacing those that were non-restorable. At this stage, the bridge has virtually disappeared. Secondly, refurbishment of the existing masonry towers using sandstone from the same nearby quarry. Thirdly, installing new suspension chain anchors at both sides of the bridge. And finally, replacing the refurbished chains, hanger rods and decking to produce the bridge as it currently is, having reopened on the 17th of April 2023. To celebrate the restoration, 2 statues were commissioned. On the English end of the bridge sits a life-size statue of Captain Samuel Brown, sitting on a block of Hutton sandstone. On the Scottish end stands a surveyor to represent all involved in the completion of the restoration. In July 2023, the Union Chain Bridge was recognised as an International Historic Engineering Landmark. Upon the plaque located on the Scottish approach, the original cost of £7,700, equivalent of £613,000 in today's money, is highlighted as being less than 40% of the cost of a stone bridge. Today, I suspect just designing a bridge would cost more than £600,000. In this video, I've introduced you to the Union Chain Bridge, briefly provided its history, explained about its recent refurbishment, and shown you how the bridge now looks. As impressive as it looks on video, it's even more impressive in real life. So, if you are in the North Northumberland area, I hope you might make time to visit the bridge. Once you have perused the bridge, you might like to walk up the hill on the English shore and visit the Chain Bridge honey farm, or alternatively, walk the 1-mile Scottish River shore to Paxton House. I hope you will have an enjoyable visit to these attractions. If you have found this video interesting, please hit the like button, as it will help the algorithm share it to others.